Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. All right. Let's see if I can get all my stuff going this morning at the same time. Y'all don't know. I'd be proud of myself. Be like, girl, you did that thing. You pushed the button and you didn't disconnect by accident. That's my usual praise to myself, like, atta girl. This morning, I've been up for a while. And you guys get dropped into my day. And my day usually starts with thinking and music and Lauren Hill. Lauren Hill is the inspiration for my morning. Good morning, Sarah B. And as I'm up preparing for this time together, what am I going to say? And it depends on the day, what moves me. And this morning, I'm really just sharing the overflow of what moved me this morning through song. Let me see. Let me put that. I got the link. Lauren Hill has a song called Everything is Everything. And that was really part of my morning motivation, my meeting with myself, my get myself together this morning. And it followed up stemmed really from a conversation that I've been having with someone in WhatsApp about systems and solutions and healing and the core of that. And so I thought this was very appropriate this morning, kind of for where I'm going this morning with you guys, or at least letting you in on where I have gone this morning for myself and in preparation for you. And so this morning, I'm going to share some of my writing. It's another maybe poem. I don't know what you call it. I just call it my writing. It's a piece that I wrote that really is about this song. This morning, the song that's been replaying on my playlist is Everything is Everything. And that's a term that we hear, everything is everything. And you kind of just go on and like we understand it, but we don't oftentimes unpack it. And that kind of stuck this morning on repeat. And so here's a piece about that. And I got some words afterwards that really kind of convey the message that is for me this morning. If you guys get something from the message, it ties into some of the steps and how I see this work of mine. And so the title I put on this was After Winter Must Come Spring. The other part of this, that's the caveat, is I live in a place that's 2 degrees below the equator. So if you think about balance, they call the weather here. What's the weather like in Cuenca? Perpetual spring is what they call it. It's always spring, which means it feels like spring and fall all year round. Our average temperature is 70 to 75 degrees year round, which is my delight because I know that 74 is my ideal temperature, things I know about myself. So with that in mind, also this idea of spring really resonates with me this morning. And so this I would call After Winter Must Come Spring. Good morning, Kimberly. I see you came in the room. So After Winter Must Come Spring. It says, everything is everything. That phrase sounds simple until you've lived enough life to understand what everything actually includes. Everything is the grief I tucked into my calendar, the rage I stuffed beneath my smile, the dreams I downgraded because the rent was due, the calling I questioned because the world didn't make room for it. Everything is the survival rules I followed so well that I almost forgot they were never mine. We lose the game before we even start to play, yes, but it's not our game. It was never our game. We were handed pieces from a puzzle someone else designed and told to win. I was praised for adapting, rewarded for being easy to consume, taught to spiritualize struggle instead of confront the structures that caused it. But the truth has a rhythm, and it found me slowly, like light returning to a room I forgot how to enter. And when it found me, it didn't say fight. It said, remember. After winter must come spring. That's not just a lyric, that's a law. That's a divine timeline etched into the fabric of all things living. But here's what nobody told me: winter has no expiration date. Spring doesn't come just because I'm tired of being cold. It comes when I decide to stop rehearsing my numbness and start reclaiming my life. Change doesn't arrive like a rescue, it unfolds like a mirror. And when I finally looked in that mirror, not to fix myself, but to tell the truth, I saw it. The woman I had always been, buried under shoulds and silence, powerful, prayerful, pattern breaking. Develop a negative into a positive picture, she said. That's not a metaphor, that's memory work. That's standing in the ruins of what broke me and building altars from the leftover stones. I've stopped waiting for the ones on top to grant permission for my liberation. I no longer trust systems to choose justice. They won't, because they are convinced that our blooming will cost them something, and they're right, it will. But I'm not blooming for them, I'm blooming for me, for the children who need to see it, for the ancestors who planted prayers they never got to harvest, for the version of me who still wonders if it's safe to hope again. Everything is everything, not because it's all okay, but because nothing is wasted. Even the darkness I wandered through had roots growing beneath it. Even the detours carried a lesson. Even the silence shaped my hearing. So now I walk forward, not because I know what's next, but because I trust what's inside of me. And if you ask me why I still believe in spring after all the winters I've known, I will tell you this: because I've seen what happens when a woman survives long enough to stop hiding her light and start telling the truth. This is the truth. Everything is everything. And I'm still here, which means I am a part of that everything too. And so are you. So that's really what came out of my reflection. And so this morning I thought I'll just stay there for a moment with you all. Everything is everything. It's not just the lyric, it's truth. And it's a truth that I have found in my life that's so deep that sometimes it needs to be sung and then preached and then lived. Because when we say everything is everything, we're saying nothing is wasted. Not the grief, not the rage, not the detours, the numbness or survival modes we wore like armors. We're not healing to erase what happened. We're healing to extract the truth from it. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the truth? What are the facts? We're finding the threads. We're locating the roots to say, yes, this too has shaped me, but it doesn't get the final say. That's the work of step 5B. That's what we're doing here in this challenge. We're not just naming the loss, we're sitting with it. And then, if we're brave, if we're courageous, we're pulling meaning from it. Step 5B is not about moving on, it's about beginning again, but differently this time. Every ending becomes a beginning with new understanding, with new values or reaffirmed values. We create new minimums. Because after every healing cycle, that's what happens. We level up. That's what they say, level up. The things that used to feel like a breakthrough, now that's our new baseline. That's not regression. That's really just the rhythm of healing. That's the sacred loop of life embracing change. And it's the call that says, if today, if you're tired, if you're still numb, if you're still wondering why spring hasn't arrived yet, whatever that proverbial meaning is for you, it's first saying winter has no expiration date, but spring is what comes when we stop rehearsing the numbness and we start reclaiming our lives. And reclaiming, it doesn't mean shouting. Sometimes we think that that's what it is. Sometimes it means sitting and breathing, telling the truth, looking at myself, not to fix what's broken, but to see what's been buried. We were not sent here to adapt to the dysfunction. That's the song that reverberates from Michelle and Digiocelli I spoke about maybe a couple of weeks ago. Not here to adapt to the dysfunction, the systems that we weren't meant to survive. We were not born to decorate the oppression with our coping skills. We were sent to remember. We were sent to heal from the root, to reestablish new baselines for what we will and won't allow in our lives. That's what the Step 5B process is about. It's the act of turning those memories into real movement, transformation, change in our lives. It's taking the wounds and finding the wisdom in them. It's taking even our survival and creating new strategies for living. And if you're still here after all of your winters, that means you're a part of everything too. If there's still breath, there's hope. It's the motto from South Carolina, state I came from after retirement. If we're still here, we're part of the everything. We're a living, breathing reminder that healing is possible. There's a lyric in a song by India Ari that says, we're proof of concept. And I thought about that one day and says, what are we proof of? Are we proof that humanity can be better? Are we proof that healing does make a difference? That returning to love is powerful? And that spring eventually will come? So let's do the work, not to be fixed. Fixing is the yappa. We do the work to be free. We pull meaning from the rubble. We replant what was almost buried, our truth. And so this challenge is about us saying we will stop waiting for the world to change and start becoming the people who change it, changing the one person that we have absolute control over, and that's me. And so this morning, the prophet Lauryn Hill said, everything is everything. Not because it's all okay, but because even the broken parts belong to the everything. Even the silence can have something to say to us. Even this moment, this space, this virtual space and room that we're holding, even that too can be sacred. And from this moment forward, that becomes our new minimum. So my charge, my challenge, the affirmations for today would be for myself. Is what does this affirm in my life? And I'm going to trust the rhythm of my healing. I'm going to honor my truth as I uncover it. I'm not going to rush winter because it's cold, but I also won't resist my spring. And I'm still here. I still have breath, and that gives me hope. And so that's a hopefulness that I hope might help you. Go listen to her song and see if it tells you something different than it told me. But I'm here, and I'm healing, and I believe that that makes a difference. So we are part of the everything, and everything is everything. That includes all of our life experiences. It includes us healing through them so that we are able to pull the wisdom even from the rubbles of what was. Those values that we are beginning to see that impact our lives in ways that have not made us sustainable people, that have exhausted us, that have worn us down, that even in those moments of winter, that we can pull from to be able to plant the seeds of spring. So that's what I got this morning. Lauryn Hill, everything is everything. And so it's about how do we use that for good? And that's what healing is about for me. I can take any of the situations that life has given me, and some of them have taken a lot of energy, a lot of painful energy. I want to get some return out of those things. I want to pull good from those experiences and remove myself from the bondage that they may have had over me in various chapters of my life. And so I hope for you, healing is that kind of freeing experience. I hope that your quest for freedom is what's fueling your healing work. In the process, we fix the stuff, but it's so that we can be, we can be and live our purposes and our passions, live life fully, more fully each day, and believe that that is sacred work. So that's what I'm sharing with you this morning. How are you? Let's see who's here this morning. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Sarah B, good morning. Mentally Magnificent, good morning. Kimberly, good morning. Mayor, good morning. All right, how are you guys feeling? Let's use your words. Use your words. You're welcome, Kimberly. Thanks for sharing. That was beautiful. I'm choosing to trust the rhythm of my healing. Trust it, trust it, trust it. Get into the flow of it, knowing that, it's the process. It's like trust the process. Trust the process, but go through it. Don't get stuck in the middle. Go through the process. Get to the other side. Get to those yapas on the other side, the freedom that opens up through the healing. Inspired and nervous. Yeah. Inspired and nervous. Good feeling. Let's see, how am I feeling this morning? I am feeling excited. I think I got some excitement this morning. I am feeling affirmed. I'm feeling eager this morning. Blessed and informed. Good morning, Jackie. Feeling blessed and informed. All right, what else are you guys feeling? One of the participants that comes in and out, Wida, I forget her YouTube name. She's one of the gangster grannies that's going to be coming down. She started a work that she's going to do this month in May about practicing expressing her feelings. I don't have a link though that I can give you still. Okay, one of the mornings that she comes in, I'll maybe find her YouTube channel. I'll have to think that through on how to connect you. But she's practicing the feeling words. I encourage you, if you have not gotten a feeling wheel or a feeling word list, get you one, get you one, get you one. Challenge your vocabulary. Do you have the words to explain what you're feeling, what you're thinking? They call that, as fancy terms for it now, emotional intelligence. Can you effectively communicate what you're thinking and feeling outside of your head to other people? All right. Any questions? I got the link there to some of the teaching tools that will take you step by step if you have questions on any of the steps. How are you guys managing through the process? Have any of you got to your 5B yet? We talked about 5B today again. Let me know if you've got some completed cycles that you're doing. Feel free, if you do, to get those to me for our Tuesday sharing. Let me know how else I can support you in this healing process this month. Thank you for joining in. Reflective and hopeful. If there's still breath, there's hope. Reflective, like in a mirror. Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Kimberly. All right. Any questions? Any questions? As usual, if you do, I'll monitor the chat. For those that are coming in after the real-time broadcast, feel free to put your feeling words in the chat today. How are you feeling? If you have any questions, please put those in as well. Hopeful, tired, grateful, and love. 5B, sure, I'll go briefly about that. 5B, once you get all of these things pulled out, we're fact-finding. We're doing detective work into our own lives. What happened? What are the facts of what happened? How did I feel about what happened? Do I honor my emotions in this process with honesty? What are the values surrounding this incident? Not only the values that played out, but the values I actually believe. We then evaluate those values. We evaluate whether they conflict with values I hold. We then also look at our behavior. Did my behavior in this situation align with my values or conflict? And then we sit with those losses. And then we go to 5B that says, now that you have all of the information, the truth, the facts of this situation, now what's the analysis? How do you speak to yourself in your loving voice? What's the wisdom you pull from this experience? Dear self, if I'm talking to myself like I love myself, dear self, now that we have all of the facts unwoven, Where was I at before and where am I at now? What's the difference that I see between where I started this situation and the trauma it created and where I want to be now going forward? Dear self, if I'm speaking to you like I love you now, what do we say about this situation? 5B can really be in any form that you choose, however you most lovingly speak to yourself. I give a suggestion. It's a dear self letter. Dear Lorana. And I tell people pretend like it's somebody else because sometimes we haven't practiced loving ourselves really well. Some of us, me. If I were speaking to my daughter and she had been through this situation and all of these facts were now on the table, how would I speak to her? Would I start with chastising her? Would I start with judgment? Would I start with gaslighting her and telling her what she should have done and how she should have been? Or do I start with love that says you were doing your absolute best? That was what your best looked like. What do we learn from that? What values do we see in confliction self? Are we holding values in our own mind that conflict with values that we hold in our own mind? Are we being double-minded and thus creating trauma in our own life? Which values do we need to let go of? Which values do we need to reaffirm? Self. What are the commitments we're going to make to ourselves after seeing this situation and seeing what this situation cost us? When I count the cost in life currency and these losses that I've sat with, self, are we going to pay this price again? Self, what boundaries do we need to set up now that we know these values are important to us? That when someone crosses these values, it triggers us. These values are the core of my existence. Self, what are the boundaries I need to set for people who then don't share these values in my life so that I can minimize the trauma? What do we say to ourselves in our most loving voice? That's what 5B is. The first part of the process, steps 1 through 5A, are facts. No analysis. We hold that until the end. When trauma happens, we want to start analyzing from moment number 1. Why are they doing this? Why are they acting this way? What they do and what they think, and why would they do something like this to me? Because we take it personal. We forget that they're doing their best too. They're doing their best to survive. And they're reaching for their behavioral drugs of choice too. And so 5B really is that reckoning. It's the resolution. Now that I know the truth, what's my resolve? And so that can take any form that you want, but it serves that purpose in the process. It takes us to the completion of that loop of saying, now what? Now that I now have all of the facts on the table, now what, self? Did that give you a better, maybe context for 5B, Kimberly? Let me know in the chat. And there's some detailed versions of that. There's the link at the top has the playlist. You can go right to the 5B instructions. It may give a little more insight that I'm giving this morning. And the various training videos that are in the free playlist that's on my YouTube. It's a free playlist of healing tools that go through this, 7 or 8 different times in different ways, different contexts, different audience. So I hope that gave some insight and context. Facts, feelings, honor your feelings, values, conflicts, values, losses. How do I speak to me? What is wisdom? What did I learn? What did you say about it? Yeah. I think you got it. At least that direction. Yeah. Great. Any other questions? Thanks for that question, Kimberly. Gave me a minute to kind of go back and reframe that. All right. Thank you for letting us hold space. Let me know how you guys are progressing. What step are you working on? Or what steps are you working on? Because sometimes you have a table of contents of things that begin to come up, and sometimes you're at different steps for different incidents, and that is okay too. Some incidents may be at step 1 or step 2, and others may be at step 3 or step 4 in the process. You get to pace your own healing. This process does not dictate that for you. It just gives you the tools to be able to help frame your healing in a way that says that if you address these parts, we have a very high rate of you really healing from the trauma. Doesn't mean there's not other parts of your situations to discuss, but we say do that after you do this part. After you've done the 5B, after you've gone through the healing cycle, then whatever about it you want to talk about, discuss it. Try to make sure it's not stuff that's going to re-traumatize you. But oftentimes when I'm working with individuals, they realize that all that stuff they want to talk about becomes irrelevant if they go through the healing cycle first. And so it's deciding how you want to spend your energy. Do you want to spend it efficiently? You can talk about your stuff till talk about it over and over again, rehash it. I call it the rants. I go on rants sometimes, and then I say, now how much energy do you want to spend on this rant? 15 minutes is usually my limit. All right, I'm gonna spend 15 minutes ranting, and then I'm gonna go to process it. I'm gonna give myself 15 minutes to be petty and think it out, and then I'm gonna go and make sure that I correct myself and heal any potential trauma. Let me go through the steps, because I have realized that sometimes the way I want to rant about stuff will traumatize me more. So it takes a situation that's traumatizing, and then I add more trauma to it, and that's just crazy to me. And so I try to limit that, if at all possible, in a way that's honest. Sometimes I want to rant. I need to get that out. And it comes out as a rant, That's that energy moving, those emotions moving. And sometimes I need to do that before I can sit down and put words to what I'm feeling, to put words to the truth of the situation. And so I encourage you to trust the process, go through the healing cycle first, and then see what's left over that you still need to process. All right, any more questions? Any more feelings that we can honor this morning? All right, we will go into quiet work time. I'll be here in the chat if there's questions. And paused at 5A. 5A says, list those losses from step 2 and step 4. Just list them and sit with that. This is what this situation cost. And that requires deep honesty. That's the looking in the mirror. This situation traumatized me. Okay, what's the cost of that trauma? This list of losses, this is what it cost me. This one little incident, this 5-minute interaction with this person, and this is what it cost me. It's sitting with that. And then it's saying, now, self, now that you've counted the cost, self, what you gonna do? Who are you? What are the promises you make to yourself about who you choose to be and how you choose to be in the world? So disorientation, disappointment. Step 5A is going to probably bring up some emotions. Add them to your list. Add them to your list. It should invoke some stuff. For me, oftentimes, indignation. I'm indignant. This situation, some of it out of my control, and it's caused me all this. It's cost me this much. Ooh, I'd be indignant. You wasted my life on this foolishness, self. And then realizing how many years I carried on that damage forward. Do you mean this incident happened 30 years ago? But the next 30 years, I've been adding poison to my life because of it? Woo! I'm going to get honest. Then what you going to say to yourself? So, yes, sit with it, with whatever comes up. And then speak to yourself in love, not judgment. You should have done better. Well, doggone it, I was doing the best I could at that time with what I had to work with. Self. It's not about moving into judgment. It's not about moving into criticism. It's saying, if I loved you and I saw this situation, one, it would break my heart. I would have compassion for you, self. I might have some praise. Girl, we made it to the point of being able to heal from it. Woo, woo. The winter was long and cold and hard. My very heart was frozen. The ability to feel emotions was frozen. Girl, the fact that you can feel anything. Hallelujah. And so those steps that say sit with it, like I mean that literally. Don't rush it. Don't rush the process. Sit with it. Seems real simple, but sit with it and see what comes up for you. Because spirit will tell you what to focus on, what comes up, what comes into that space. So give it space. It seems simple. Just restate those losses. No, sit with them after you do that. So trust the process. 5B can be heavy. As simple as it seems, it can be very heavy. But if it leads you into the resolution that moves you forward, that resolution becomes your new minimum standard for life. Yep. One little incident sometimes that seems insignificant, and then it affects so many areas of your life. Absolutely. I hope y'all seeing that. Trauma, by this definition, it'll be something real small. One little comment, one little action that's seemingly unimportant, but that'd be the thing that your whole life is swirled around. 20, 30, 40, 50. I've talked to people in their 80s. You've been carrying this decades of poison. You've been spilling over it. So it's about breaking that cycle. What Maxine say? Reclaiming your time, reclaiming your life, reclaiming your freedom. All right, I'm going to stop talking because I could go on and on. Giving myself grace, love, and compassion with joy. Yes, Mayor. Don't you deserve grace? Wouldn't you give it to somebody you really loved? They were doing their best. Would you give them grace if they unfolded this story before you, these facts? Pain, deeply rooted. I'm a farmer. My last vocation was a farmer. If you do not get the roots of your weeds out, they will come back and suck the life out of the good seeds that you plant, that you spend energy and effort watering. Getting our pain out at the root is strategic. Why? So it don't come back. And in farmland, when you pull those roots up, you put them in a pile and you burn them so that none of those seeds will ever germinate again. And that's what this process is about. Getting it out at the root. But you got to do the work. There is no way to sugarcoat it. You got to do the work, do the work, do the work. That is the process for getting it out, and it's possible. Creating tools that make it easier for us to get to the core. Not that the work is easy, but that we have a way to get there. We have a map. So hopefully you guys are seeing a map to deepen your own personal healing journey. All right. I will save my commentary for our group exhale time, and I will let y'all have some quiet time, some sacred space to do your work. Feel free to drop into the chat as you feel led to. All right, you guys have a great, what day is today? Thursday? No, Friday. Today's Friday. Okay. My calendar has a standing appointment on Friday. It's Frisbee Friday, and I haven't been going because my foot has been injured, but I think I might be able to get my outside clothes on by noon to meet my friends at the park for Frisbee Friday. So I'm excited all over again about that. So I'm excited about the potential joy in my day. All right, you guys have a great day. Thanks for letting me share what's on my heart this morning. It is. And you'll get the thing out of what I'm gonna go into silent time and do my work, and I'm gonna go ahead and send that invitation in the calendar notes with the Google Meet. If you are not officially signed up for the Healing Challenge on the nowastedtime.com site, then I don't have your email. If you have not signed up, go there and check the box that says I want the calendar invites for stuff during this month, and I'll make sure that you're on there. So yes, it will be following this. So that's 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So immediately follow this 2-hour block. I'll open up that Google Meet, and we'd love to have you come and chat in real time. Tell me about what's happening with you in your life and what this is opening up for you, and whatever you want to talk about. So I don't have a script really. It's just presence. Yep, I'm gonna put my outside clothes on and get to Frisbee Friday today. I'm not gonna be doing all that running and carrying on that I be doing sometimes, because sometimes I'll be playing too much. So I'm gonna try to have my adult mindfulness on and be like, that foot ain't healed yet. It's healing. So y'all pray for me, because play sometimes instigates things where I'd be acting like an unsupervised adult unsupervised child down here. My children don't know. Like, I probably need a chaperone. What's your mama doing down there acting like she an unsupervised child? Yeah. What's she doing? She out there playing in the park with her friends and carrying on. So y'all pray for my wisdom to kick in around noon so that I'm not out there chasing Frisbees like somebody's German Shepherd. So, all right, you guys have a great day.